Hey, 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 welcome to Games Vitae. My name is ModJ, and it is Prime Day 2024. This video is to make you aware of the good deals on board games that are going on for the next 24 hours. This is already well into Prime Day. I meant to get this done earlier and up, so let's get this started so we can get some of these brought to your attention. Keep in mind, some of these deals are time sensitive. So by the time I get these up, they might not be up already still, or they may have expired. Or sometimes they are limited in how many can be sold. So keep that in mind. I've already eliminated some tabs because they closed down. The deal's not available anymore. Sometimes more deals come back up. So let's get going. First up, Tokaido. Tokaido is a game designed by the same designer as Seven Wonders. This is a really simple, kind of a unique way on worker placement. I shouldn't say unique completely, but it's worker placement. It represents a game that shows the road from Kyoto to Edo in Japan. And you're a traveler and you have the opportunity to go to different places. But if a place is already occupied, you have to either uh, go to a place that is before it that hasn't been occupied, or a place beyond it. And the person that's in back always goes first. Anyway, you get to the end, and there's a lot of different scoring opportunities. You can donate to the temple. You can collect sets of panoramas as you take in the views as you travel this road. I played it for the first time just a few weeks ago. It was a delight. I loved it. The deluxe board game offers more gameplay, not just deluxifications, but more gameplay. That's why I bring this to your attention. $39.99, that is a good deal. I would say buy on this right away. If you are interested in a good game, it's a good family game, 2 to 5 players. It says 45 minutes. You're playing 5 players. It's not 45 minutes. It's longer, but it is a game that keeps you engaged. You talk. It's a good game. It's not just, you might think of it as multiplayer solitaire, but even though there's not necessarily a lot of interactions between the players, you're talking. It's a great game. It's a great game to discuss things. I full endorse this game. It's a great game. Moving on to the next thing, if you don't feel like spending $40, you can get the base game non-deluxeified for $19.99. Keep in mind, it doesn't have as much gameplay. It's still going to be a great game. And if you're not sure if you want to try it, this is a good entry point to go to. Moving on to the next one. There's a lot of the Tokaido line on sale. Tokaido Duo. Haven't played this one. Don't know how it's set up to specialize for 2 players, but for $15.99, if you're looking for a 2-player game, this might be one that you can try. 61 ratings, that's not a heck of a lot. But like I said, this might be a good thing for $15.99. It may well be worth it. Moving on to, of the same world as Tokaido, Namiji. Namiji, it's kind of a reworking of the Tokaido game, and it's similar in worker placement, but it's set around kind of like a lake or a pond. I haven't played the game, but it has, as if you look at the board on the other things, you can see the setup of the board very similar. It looks here like they have player boards, and in Tokaido you do have player character boards, but they don't really play a huge part. Here it looks like they do. So it's a different game with some of the same DNA. I would highly recommend looking into it for $19.99. Again, that's a good deal on a game. I don't know that you can go wrong. There we go. Oh, moving on to Rival Restaurants. I own this game. I actually have the deluxe version that I got directly from the publisher. It plays up to 8. This version is not the deluxe version. It plays up to 6. So keep that in mind. If you want a high player count game that shines at a high player count, this is a game for you. I would kind of compare it to a little bit like Pit, and you're doing a lot of trading, you're collecting ingredients, you're making recipes, all to boost up the reputation of your restaurant, and whoever has the highest reputation will win. So anyway, $32.49. That's a good deal on this. This is a good deal, and I highly recommend it. It's a great game. If you already have the game, or if you kind of are a completionist, the expansion, Rival Restaurants Back for Seconds, is on sale. And I have been tracking this because I don't own this. $17.49, good deal, good price. I don't think I've seen it lower. So it adds, it expands content. It doesn't, to my knowledge, it has an event deck, which changes. It's a universal condition for everybody in the game. But beyond that, I'm not very sure of what the differences are that it would add to the game. But it is on my watch list. It's something I'm interested in. I'm going to take a close look at this one. Next, the Illiterati. Illiterati is done by the same people as Rival Restaurants. It is a cooperative game, a cooperative word game. It is cleverly themed, delightful storyline. It's about a group of supervillains that are trying to destroy literacy. And the character, the art, everything is very well done. It's very clever, very cute. I looked at it when it was on crowdfunding, chose not to back it at the time. It's still on my watch list. $23.99. I'd keep an eye on this, especially if you like cooperative games and word games. This is the game for you. Moving on to the next one, Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is a game I'm not fully in the know on. I know it's cooperative. I know there's some deck building going on. I don't know exactly the gameplay, but this is a game that's very popular in certain circles. And at $16.49, if you want cooperative and deck building, this is a game that you want to take a look at. In cooperation with that, they also have expansions and related material on sale. Rook City Renegades is an expansion, not a standalone. At least not to my knowledge. I don't think it's a standalone. But I know it does add expansion material to the base game of Sentinels of the Multiverse. So keep that in mind. If you know that this is a game for you, this might be something that you want to add more content for. This is something I added in. I'm not a role player, but this is a role-playing game based on the Sentinels of the Multiverse world. So if you're into role-playing, I'm not going to say much about this. I don't get into that, so this is something that you can get into and look into yourself. Spirit Island, $44.99. I think I've seen it at $39.99 before. I haven't checked, but it's a decent price. You might be able to wait to see if you can get it lower. Take a look at it, see if you're comfortable with that price. In addition to that, they also have expansion content on sale, $19.99 for Branch and Claw. Again, this is not standalone. This requires the base game. So if you're looking at Spirit Island, Branch and Claw is also on sale. Premium tokens. This is deluxeifications for your base game. If you want to deluxeify, $24.99. That's probably not a bad price. I haven't been tracking that. I've been tracking the base game, and like I said, I think I've seen that at $39.99 before, but The premium token pack I've not been tracking, so it says 50% off. I'd take a look at that. If you are not sure about getting Spirit Island, Horizons of Spirit Island is kind of a watered down entry point into the game. It's really something that if you're not into the full Spirit Island experience, and it is complicated, I would not recommend it for beginning gamers. This is something that might be an entry point to you. It's for 1 to 3 players. It's cooperative, just like Spirit Island is, but 1 to 3 players. That's kind of a small player count. Let's take a look at Spirit Island. Was it one? Yeah, it's 1 to 4 players. So 1 to 3 players. It's definitely slimmed down. It does have a solo mode, and like I said, if you're in it for more of a beginner experience at $15.99, that might be a good entry point for you. So keep that in mind. Horizons of Spirit Island rather than Spirit Island. Moving on to a more adult theme. This is a alcohol-based game, which I don't drink, so right away the theme's really not my forte. But Distilled was a crowdfunding project a while back. It's gotten a little buzz, pardon the pun, that some people really like the game. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of not set collection recipe making type thing, worker placement, maybe tableau. Yeah, there's tableau building. Yeah, resource management, like I said, recipe fulfillment, and there's a luck element where you're pressing your luck, mitigating your luck. So I don't know exactly whether it has worker placement in there or not, but it does have good organizational trays. That's good. That's all I can say about that. Like I said, there's been people who have talked about it, but I've also heard some people that after they played it, they said, yeah, it's a little bit too simple for me, and they moved on. So $49.99, I don't know if I'd pull the trigger on that. It's 27% off. I think I would want to try and find that at a lower price if it were me. So move that. I'd just bring it to your attention. See what you think. Hegemony. Hegemony is also a former crowdfunding project, and it has gotten a lot of buzz also. I haven't heard many people saying they're moving on from it. I didn't pull the trigger on it because I don't like the theme. I don't like the idea of class warfare. Class warfare to me is like it just doesn't send me anywhere. The setup layout of the board looks really good. Mechanics, asymmetric cards, variable player powers, hand management, resource management, voting. So they've got a lot of things going on. This is not a light game. Has only 33 ratings. You want to go to Board Game Geek or some other website that tells you more about what people are saying about the game, but it has gotten some positive buzz. So keep your eye on Hegemony. $54.99. That's probably going rate for the game. Maybe even a better rate for the game. It's one of those more complicated games that you're not going to use this as an entry point for the game. As you can see here, you've got organizational material and expansion material that you can get on the side. If you don't know if you'd like the game, but you're kind of interested, hold off on the expansion material. Hold off on the organization trays. I'm sure whatever comes with the game is good enough. Buy the game alone first. See if you like it. Then see if you want to go into the expansion stuff. So that's Hegemony. Calico. You can't say much bad about Calico. 1,700 ratings, 4.8 stars. This is by the same people who make Cascadia, which was a Spiel des Jahres winner. They just put out another game called Nocturne. They are putting out good games. Calico has got a lot of positive buzz. Some people, if they move on for it, they only move on for it because maybe it's too simple for them or they've played it out. This is a solid shelf builder. You want to try a good game, you want to try Cascadia. And at $24.99, that was good. Moving on to King of Tokyo. I've got a couple of King of Tokyos up here. This is the base game. King of Tokyo, Richard Garfield, if I'm not mistaken, he was the mind behind Magic the Gathering. He built King of Tokyo. And King of Tokyo is kind of a boss builder, dice chucker game that it's a game that a family could easily get to the table. How long you'll bring it to the table is really going to be the question for you. And it's not a game that you're going to get tired of right away unless you just absolutely hate it. I've seen gameplay on it. The dark version was out for a while, which is really probably where I would have suggested you go. But King of Tokyo is the one that's available now, and the dark version isn't. So at $24.97, that's probably a good deal if you're looking for a family game to get to the table. Not a lot of complication. Boss battler, dice chucker. Anyway, it's got stuff in it. If you want that and more, you want to move on to the where to go. There we go. The monster box. This is the big box. It has the base game and additional content, extra bosses, extra stuff. So you will, and promo stuff. Yeah, gosh, this is a really good deal for $39.20 for a big box experience. And when you get a big box, you should expect to pay more than you would for the base game. This has got more content, which means it's going to cost more to make. The monster box of King of Tokyo, if you are looking at getting that, I don't know that I would deter you from getting the big box as opposed to the base box. It gives you more stuff. And if it's going to engage you more, I think that this isn't necessarily a bad thing to go big box first. So $39.20, not a bad deal. Okay. Oh, Dominion Big Box Second Edition. Highly recommend this. This is normally, I've seen it higher than $75. If you want a deck builder, Dominion is one of the places where you would start. Dominion is a great deck building experience. And if you don't know what deck builders are, it's where you have cards and you cycle through them. And as you go, you can acquire more cards that do certain things, and you can chain those cards together such that, all right, I play this, and that allows me to play this, and that allows me to play this, and that allows me to get a point card. And these point cards also go into your hand, which obviously help you win, but they also clog your hand up. So you have to have this balance between getting points and getting things that allow you to keep going and build your engine up. Dominion is a great game. 1,800 reviews on this. There are tens of thousands more on Board Game Geek that would recommend this game. $44.99. This is a buy. Thumbs up to this game. I highly recommend Dominion Big Box. And just so you know, the big box normally by itself costs around $40. So for here, you get Dominion and an expansion, Intrigue, which technically can be played by itself as well, for the same price as one. So yes, this is a buy. Thumbs up. Moving on, Dutch Blitz. The only reason I know about Dutch Blitz is Chris George from the YouTube channel Room and Board mentions it all the time. It is a card game, a card shedding game. And if you know somebody that is a card player, this is a game you want to look into. At $9.99, you can't go wrong with this game. This game is an exciting, fast-paced game. You might think that I'm looking at the thing, and I am, but I knew this before from having looked into it. It's something that you want to look into for the card player in your family. $9.99, like I said, you can't go wrong at $9.99 for a card game. 160 cards. You'd pay $9.99 for a card game with half that many cards in it. So this is a game. If you have a card player in your family, Dutch Blitz is it. Red Rising. I know almost nothing about Red Rising. I saw the deal on at $11.49. I remember when it came out, I believe it was a lot higher than that. So I can't recommend it. It's based on a book series. I don't know much about the books or the game. It's by the same publisher as Scythe and Wingspan. At $11.49, I just don't know much about it. If you've been keeping your eye on this game and have been wanting it, $11.49 is, well, it sounds pretty cheap to me. So that's Red Rising. Cartographers, another game I don't know a lot about. $15.99 though, if that's been your thing. It says it's a flip and write game, and it says 1 to 100 players. Wow, that's a huge playing count. So that means there must be something that mitigates the playing time, either that everybody's playing at the same time or elimination. I don't know. But Cartographers is something that you might want to look into if this has been up your alley or something you've been interested in. Looks like maybe there's boss battling. You've got monsters. Like I said, I don't know much a lot about it, but at $15.99, it might be something that catches your eye. Power Grid. This is a classic game. 700 and almost 5 stars reviewed. It's a classic game. It has been out for a long, long time. This is it's stood the test of time. If you want to look into Power Grid at $29.99, that might be a little high. I mean, like I said, it's been out for a long time. You might be able to wait and see it if it's cheaper down the road, but it's, I don't know. It seems like it maybe could be a little bit cheaper. I was looking down here to see if there's any other info. I haven't looked into it a lot. With as many games as a person wants, you got to kind of pick and choose sometimes whether you want to look into a new game or not. I haven't looked into Power Grid. I did at one point, forgotten all about it. But if you know much about Power Grid and you haven't gotten it and you want it, take a look at it for $29.99. I personally think that maybe that might be a little high. So it could be cheaper. Bunny Kingdom. Bunny Kingdom was on my Prime watch list last year. It seems like this is going to be a mainstay on the Prime Days deals. At $29.99, worker placement I know is there. Also designed by the same guy who did King of Tokyo. So he's got a few games that have been around for a while and they have their following. So it says card drafting and territory control. I thought there was worker placement. Maybe worker placement's just my keyword of the day. Don't know. So anyway, at $29.99, that's probably a pretty decent deal. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong board game. Again, this is one of the ones that caught my eye because I know that other people like this genre. I haven't looked into it. I don't know much about it. It says tons of cards, infinite replayability. Always kind of raises my eyebrows when somebody says infinite replayability. Nothing's infinite replayable. But it does have nearly 2,500 ratings on Amazon at almost 5 stars. So at $23.99, this might be a surprise pick for some people. Yeah, if you like the murder mystery genre, I don't know if it's competitive. It looks like it is. It says lie to your friends and get away with murder. So obviously you're probably competing with people. Take a look at it, see if it's something you want. At $24, that's not a bad deal if you want to roll the dice, so to speak, and see if this game's for you. Schotten Totten. It's a 2-player game. I don't know much about it. I've heard of it. I've heard the name come up. It says kill or be killed. Play on words there. Looks like it's area control. Poker-like formations of 3 cards on a side. Play the higher ranking formation to win the stone. Okay, so if you know much about Schotten Totten, you're ahead of me. 1049 might be something you want to look into. I can't say much about Schotten Totten. Mists over Carcassonne. This is not Carcassonne proper. This is a cooperative version of the game for kids and adults, it says. So family version of the game, cooperative version. I've not played Carcassonne. I'm familiar with it. Carcassonne itself has been around for a long time. It stood the test of time. It's you can maybe even say it's an evergreen. But Mists over Carcassonne, if you want a cooperative version of the game, if you're into cooperatives, I'm not as much, but it just doesn't seem to fly well with my group. But at $29.30, I personally wouldn't pull the trigger. I'd hope for it to go cheaper. But if you like Carcassonne and you like cooperative games, Mists over Carcassonne at almost $30, it might be for you. This is something I saw, I know nothing about. I saw it and I thought to myself, well, let's bring it to people's attention, see if it's something for them. Get on board Paris and Rome. It's a flip and write, which I like I said, I don't know much about this game, but at $12.99, and if it's a family game, which it 1 to 5 players, it looks like it would be, and they themed the art around it. Let's see what else is about. Transport. So maybe it's a pick up and deliver. Objectives, getting points, flip and right, fast paced, clever flip and right. Okay. Anyway, at $12.99, if you're looking for a flip and right game that looks to be family friendly, not a heck of a lot of ratings, but it's not rated bad for those ratings. $12.99 might be for you. Get on board Paris and Roma. Another one I know nothing about. The Animals of Baker Street. Investigation game. Playable for the whole family. 2 to 4 players, though, for a family game. That's not a heck of a lot of players for a family level game. At $17.99, yeah, it's affordable. It's a cheap game. But ideal for the whole family. Well, not if your whole family's more than 4 players. It's scenario based, in investigation. It says lots of Easter eggs to discover for replayability. I'm a little skeptical when somebody says that, but I'm not going to diss this game. I don't know about it. $17.99. I'm going to move on. Let you decide. Should have put this closer to the other murder mystery game. There's a couple of them that are on sale. Hunt a Killer. Death at a Dive Bar. I don't know really much about this game, whether it's cooperative or not. Again, I'm trying to get this out in a timely manner. So I'm bringing it to your attention. You can look it up if you're more interested in this genre or not. It says they've got a level of difficulty on the box. This is an easy version. So if you want an easy murder mystery, I've played some of the Clue versions. They didn't really send me any place I couldn't come back from. Maybe this one would be a step up from those. But at $18.99, I don't know how replayable it is. Maybe it's a legacy game. You can only play it once. I don't know. Look into it. If you're interested into the murder mysteries, check this one out. Also, another one, Hunt a Killer. Body on the Boardwalk. This is a medium, so there's an easy one that we just looked at. Same line of games. This is a medium. You might want to look into that too. It's $4 more, $23.99. Okay, we're going to go through some of these a little quick. I don't know much about them. I'm just bringing them to your attention, and you can look up for yourself to see if it would work for you. This is MonsDRAWsity. It's a drawing party game. At the top, it says 3 to 8 players. Down below, it says 3 to 6. I looked it up. It's 3 to 8. So it is definitely a party game. Uh, don't know really much more about it, but for $6.99, you can see what it's like for yourself. Next, we have Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. This is the retail version of Marvel Zombies, which is one of the later installments of the Zombicide series by Come On Games. Marvel Zombies definitely is not a theme for me. I just don't really get into it. But the Zombicide franchise is one that has been very, very successful. The publisher, Come On, uses a lot of minis, and they incorporate it into games that have both engaging mechanics and storylines. So the Zombicide theme is you either like it or you don't. It's a dice chucker cooperative game, you against the zombies. In this case, the zombies can take on various heroes that have been infected, and the people that are fighting them off are either heroes or hero adjacent characters. So at $23.90, I think that's a good price for this. It's like I said, it's the retail version, but it does come with miniatures. Uh, the full version costs a lot more, and you're still getting the Zombicide experience. If you like that and you want more, there is also an expansion on sale at this time. It's more than the base game, but it gives you additional content. It is the Fantastic Four Under Siege Zombicide expansion. So for $37.60, you can add on to that $23, and that'd be about $60 altogether. You'd have probably a lot of Zombicide content. So that's Marvel Zombies Fantastic Four Under Siege. Let's see here. Don't know much about this game. Run, Fight, or Die, another zombie themed game. Uh, Looks like you go around collecting swag. Don't really know much about it. For $27.99. Moving on. Potion Explosion. This is a game that has rang in my ear a couple of times. $29.99, so $30. Uh, Personally, I think that if I wanted to pull the trigger, it would be a few dollars less. So take that for what you will. It says 30 to 45-minute playing time for 2 to 4 players. So I know that it has to do with drafting like marbles to make potions and do various things. It's a highly rated game. It's been around long enough that it has at least stood the test of reasonable memory. And anyway, that's Potion Explosion for $29.99. I personally wouldn't pull the trigger. I'd want it to be a few dollars less, and that's kind of the nature of the hobby. If you pinch pennies, you can afford more later on. So that's just. But that is moving on to the next one. Another horror themed game, The Thing, 1982 board game movie. It's based off the 1982 movie. And I think this has some hidden traitor stuff in it. It's 1 to 8 players. So it's definitely meant for a big group. And the more players, I imagine, the more suspense you have in the game. So $32.49. I haven't tracked this game at all. You'd have to find out if that's worth it to you. At 41% off, that seems like a good discount. So take it for what it's worth. Know nothing about this game. Prophecy. It's a strategic trick taking game. I read through it a little bit. It looks like you do some bidding, which I mean, to me that doesn't sound like anything special. But maybe this is a great game. I don't know. But there are a lot of trick taking games where you do bidding. So $8.99 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is a game worth your money. Champions of Midgard for $34.27. This was on Prime Day last year, probably about the same price. It does have a following. It has been around for a few years. It has expansions. I don't know much about it. I looked at it at one point. It looks like you have dice drafting, um, worker placement, tableau building, maybe. All the bells and whistles, boss battling, things like that. It's the Norse theme. It looks like, but for $34.27, I'm not saying that that's a high price or a bad price, but I think you got to know whether you like this game or not before you pull the trigger. Look into it. Go to YouTube. Check out the gameplay. Check out the descriptions. See if it's good for you. And at 43% off, sounds good. It looks like it's got a lot of components, and components add to the price. So if you can get it at $34.27, I would say that might be a deal you should make. Tiny Towns at $26.49. I have seen people in elevators carry this game around. It's got a following. It's got a good reputation. At over 1,500 reviews on Amazon at 4.8, that sounds like a good game. At $26.49, I don't know that the components necessarily demand that price. Personally, I'd like to see it a little cheaper. It's $8 cheaper than it normally is for typical price. So I don't know if I'd pull the trigger on this, but it's apparently a good game. I haven't played it. So moving on to the next game. Another game that I just saw I'm bringing to your attention. Harry Potter Unmask the Death Eaters board game. Sounds like social deduction. At $28.30, I would say the majority of that price is for the IP, not the gameplay. It might be a great game, but I don't think that that's a particularly good deal. Next, we have Axis and Allies for $28, a whopping 14% off, which equates to $4. Nothing to make you run and stand in line to get this game. I would probably pass unless you just really want Axis and Allies. Scythe, Rise of Fenris. That is an expansion to Scythe, the board game. The deal is for 5% off, and you're paying $52.25. I would say no on that. You're not saving enough to justify making the move now. You might as well wait. If you've waited so far, you might as well keep waiting. I'm not commenting on the gameplay on any of these, especially the ones I don't know. But on Scythe, I've played. There's plenty of game there without an expansion. If you are ready for content and you say Rise of Fenris is next, I personally would keep waiting. $52, 5% off. That's not a great deal. I'd wait. I paid that much for the base game. So, yeah. Another Scythe expansion is Encounters. Not really familiar with this, but it's really cheap at $11.80. I know nothing about the content on it. 600 reviews at 4.8. Sounds good. So if you want it, $11 is pretty cheap. Whether the expansion is worth $11, I don't know. Moving on. Why did my screen go black? There we go. Pyramido. Know nothing about. It looks like tile laying. Yeah, polyomino. Looks like polyominoes. Whether it is or not, I don't know. or domino style. Yeah, look at that. Looks like dominoes. Uh, Not sure what the game mechanics like on this. $14.99. Moving on. Oh, Tiwanaku. This was a crowdfunder not that long ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. It started off being called Pachamama, but they changed it to Tiwanaku. And I looked into it at the time. I cannot remember for the life of me what it's about, but it's gotten really good reviews. And at 50% off at $24.99, that sounds like a decent price to try a new game at. It says up to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes, deduction, exploration, optimization. You might want to try it at $24.99. Tiwanaku. Big Boss. I put this up here originally not knowing anything about it. And then before I started filming, I looked at it. I'm going, oh, this was designed by Wolfgang Kramer, a pretty well-known designer. It's got mechanics that I like. It actually, the board looks a little bit like the board game Acquire. And it's of the similar nature in the sense that they're both financial type games, but it doesn't look like a bad game. It actually caught my attention. So this might be a sleeper pick for $22. Yeah, it's a sleeper pick. So Big Boss by Funko Games. Just a couple more here. Fox in the Forest, trick-taking 2-player game. Got this for my parents. They, unlike their parents, aren't card players. So that game's collecting dust. But I also suggested it to my brother and sister-in-law. And they bought it, and they love it. It's a very easy game to table, very easy game to learn, but strategic enough that you can focus on enough different things to form your own strategy and try and win. So it's a good trick-taking game, very well reviewed, 3,000 plus reviews on Amazon, 4.6 average. That's not a bad game. Okay, just a couple more. Mining Colony. I tried to read what this game was about. It has almost nothing on it, and I'm not going to Board Game Geek to find out what it is. If it doesn't have it here, $14.99. Whoever wrote the description of it really needs to learn how to sell, because this doesn't sell me at all. I can't suggest it because I don't know anything about it. Almost last but not least, we have Ark Nova. This game was the flavor of the month after month for a while. It was frequently compared to Terraforming Mars. That being said, there are a lot of people that got rid of it because after playing it, they said, yeah, I'd rather play Terraforming Mars. Other people kept a hold of Ark Nova, and they say, that's my favorite game now. I'm on neither side of the table. I'm letting you know that it's available for $55, 27% off. I don't think is particularly a great deal, but because it's a hot game, I don't know if you're going to see it much lower. Personally, I wouldn't pull the trigger on it, but that's because I'm not really interested in it. But if I was, I don't think $55 would be what made me pull the trigger. Last but not least, Rallyman Dirt. Rallyman Dirt has a very interesting story behind it because the original publisher, Holy Grail Games, went under. And Rallyman Dirt was a crowdfunding project. It crowdfunded back in 2020. They went bankrupt in 2023, and basically every backer in North America never got their pledge. Thousands of dollars, and they didn't get anything for it. Rallyman was just the base game. There were multiple expansions for it, and people that ordered that also ordered Rallyman GT with all of their expansions, and they're never going to get any of it. That's last anyone heard, those games and all the expansion and material were sitting in a warehouse in Montreal because the fulfillment company was owed money by the publishers. Publishers went under, and they kept all of the stock until something's decided about it. So I don't know the availability of this game going forward. Another company has bought rights to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this game is going to continue to be available. This picture has the name Synapses on it, as opposed to Holy Grail like the original stuff is. This game, Rallyman Dirt, was on Prime Day this time last year and at Christmas for the same price, $24.99. I've been watching it just last month. It was $48. I love Rallyman GT. Rallyman Dirt has some of the same underlying mechanics, but has some different processes in it, and it's more a time trial-like game rather than racing your opponent. So it's going to play a little different. That being said, you can also combine the tiles from Rallyman Dirt with the tiles from Rallyman GT. I highly recommend Rallyman GT. I think I would enjoy Rallyman Dirt. Will I buy it? I'm not sure, but I will say that is a price that if you wanted it, you should pull the trigger. So that's Rallyman Dirt. That is the last game on our list. Please, if you know of any other games that people might be interested in, put it in the comments down below. If you know about any of the games that we mentioned here that I didn't know much about, put it in the comments down below. Describe it to us. Tell us why it's a good game. Tell us why we ought to try it. In the meantime, I will keep my eye on any deals that may pop up during the rest of Amazon Prime days. And if anything significant or of interest comes up, I will be sure to post another video for it, hopefully in time for you to do this. This video is getting done a little late due to technical difficulties, but I'm glad that we finally got it up, and I hope to be hearing from you more in the future. This has been MonsDRAW. Thanks for watching.